Do, 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 do. Oh, oh. Not sure I really want to talk more this morning. I just got off my my daily. I do a morning live show, mostly on Instagram, sometimes on TikTok, called Coffee with Ken. And just got off it, talked for a little bit over an hour um, on this Saturday morning. But good morning, Ryan. But then I had a couple thoughts from commenters to a video I posted, I don't know, a few days ago. And I posted a video about inflation and the minimum wage. And it was my thoughts on that if the minimum wage keeps going up, the corporations are going to have to raise prices and things are going to get more expensive. Therefore, no matter how high we make the minimum wage, uh, people can't afford housing or food or whatever and become more and more dependent on the government via food stamps or subsidized housing or what have you to cover their bills. And I always looked at that as a bad thing and always considered myself, not always, but consider myself a little right of center and would prefer the government less involved and kind of believe in, I've been a free market person and was a finance major and I was a stockbroker and a realtor, which at its heart is an entrepreneur or a businessman, and always kind of believed in free markets and less government intervention and less, uh, yeah, regulation and more entrepreneurial spirit. And what just dawned on me this morning and what encouraged me to hop on live with you right now, just for a fun, was that I don't think I ever realized that there's a certain segment of our country, and maybe a large segment, that doesn't look at things the way I do and that believes a bigger government, even to the point of socialism or communism or what have you, would be a good thing. And that living in a place where the government provides the housing and the jobs and we all do generally as what the government asks of us, which might raise the minimum life experience a little bit up, and we'd all kind of live in gray buildings and do gray jobs and do things okay in a government sort of way. I mean, to me, that doesn't sound good at all. To me, that doesn't sound good. And I tell you, I'm struggling. I'm struggling. I'm struggling financially and sometimes emotionally. And I know life's tough and I know things get hard and sometimes it's hard to pay your bills and your expenses and your roof and your food. And uh, maybe I've just been trained or raised to believe in the struggle and believe in chasing the American dream and believe in going for it and pulling yourself up by the bootstraps and getting knocked down and overcoming hurdles and working for more and doing your best and going to college and, you know, trying your hardest. And I'm surprised How many don't see it that way or don't feel that way? And again, I posted a video the other day about inflation in the minimum wage, and I just got off my coffee show, and I was reading some comments on it saying, totally disagreeing with my thoughts, saying if a corporation can't afford to pay a person the living wage, that corporation shouldn't exist. Made me wonder. I mean, again, I never thought people thought that way. I never thought people thought that way. My mother grew up in Scotland, which is, Western, but it's still socialized, a lot of it. I mean, they have socialized medicine. Their housing was government subsidized, if not paid for, and I think their taxes were really high. And I always thought it was neat and quaint when I'd go visit my cousins, and I kind of wondered why they all lived in gray buildings that were very similar to everybody else's they lived in. And as you ride through the towns all, I don't know, my memory of them, it was gray buildings. I mean, love Scotland, think it's one of the prettiest places on earth. But where all my cousins worked and lived and were, they had like gray little townhome row homes. And again, my experience as a kid was positive and loved it there. But I never strove or visioned or wanted that sort of life. RJ wants to know what type of economy and jobs are in Scotland. Well, I'll tell you what, most of my cousins they called them joiners, which is carpenter, or painters or window washers. They were blue-collar jobs. Nothing wrong with blue-collar jobs. I mean, I'm currently waiting tables. There's nothing wrong with it at all. But they were blue-collar jobs, but they didn't seem to have, and I often would wonder when I'd go visit them that they didn't seem to need to go to work. And I'm not saying they didn't work, maybe they took vacation days. But I didn't know that such a large percentage of the American population would want, I'll just call it socialism, or maybe even communism. I'd always looked at those as bad words, like bad economies, and America the Beautiful, and capitalism. But there was a guy, I was at Starbucks in downtown Naperville a few days ago, and there was a guy playing a guitar, or playing some instrument, I forgot what it was, right outside the Starbucks. And on his guitar box, which he had out looking for tips or donations or whatever, he had "End Capitalism" written. And I mean, he looked like a guy that might be playing an instrument on a street corner and have a sign that said "End Capitalism." But I thought he was, by the extreme exception. But today, as I was looking at those comments on my video about a living wage and corporations, if they don't pay a living wage, shouldn't exist, and made me think that a large section of our society didn't feel the way I felt and didn't live or have the American dream, whatever that is, or didn't believe in free markets and wanted bigger government. And I'm saying this without judgment, but it just dawned on me that so many people, and again, I don't know if it was always this way. And I'm just now noticing it. And I'm just now noticing it because I'm raising my exposure to different people because I do this show. And I get comments from all sorts of people from all sorts of walks of life. That I'd rarely exposed myself to. And I am surprised how many people out there think, and I'm not saying they're wrong or right, I'm not making a judgment, think that bigger government is better and that capitalism is bad and that free markets are bad, and that I think would prefer the government making all or most of the decisions. And it just surprises me. It just surprises me. Yeah, I don't know if I have anything else for you. I don't know if I have anything else for you, but it surprises me. And I read those comments and I go, do these people really believe that? And then it dawned on me that they do. And I'm not saying they don't have a right to their opinion or a right to want to live in a socialist or communist or whatever state. I just didn't know that so many people didn't at least aspire to the American dream. What I would consider the American dream. And I'm not saying it's all, glory and beautiful and every moment's easy chasing the American dream. I promise you it's not. I'll tell you what, I was waiting tables last night and I'm going to be waiting tables tonight, and it doesn't always feel dreamy. And I realize a lot of people are hurting and struggling out there. But I am surprised. I am surprised. And maybe it's just social media. And maybe I'm just exposing myself to very outspoken people on the left. But I am surprised because I rarely walk around. I mean, maybe it's youth. Maybe society's changing. Maybe kids, and when I say kids these days, anybody under 30 maybe don't dream the American dream or want a white picket fence or want to have children. And again, I'm not trying to draw any conclusion, but I just didn't understand how people felt that way and thought that way and looked at things that way. Because I never have, and I certainly don't. But I get it. I'm not necessarily right. Yeah, surprised me. Oh, it's good. That is good. Well, if RJ's going to share the live, do I have to keep talking? I mean, that's almost all I have to say. I'm surprised. Well, Callie, you say you're that, but you're just one person. I've seen your comments. I'd say they're, kind of out there, from my perspective. It's okay. You think my comments are out there, and that's okay too. But I don't think, I'm okay agreeing to disagree or seeing other perspectives or talking about other perspectives. But I don't think certain people are okay even discussing others' views. And that's why I'm here. Because I'm okay talking other perspectives and I can understand other sides. And like engaging in conversation. Like engaging in conversation. And what my hope is that some point in the not too distant future, we stop all of this and level heads prevail. And I call myself a level head. I will say I think I'm level headed because I see both sides and I'm willing to engage and I'm not throwing insults and not, being hostile. But I think on both sides, there's so much hostility because people don't see it the same way at all anymore. At all anymore. And it surprises me. It surprises me. And people are throwing questions at me about specific things. Like, one great day said Medal of Honor versus Medal of Freedom. I think on both sides of the party, I'm going to say shame on you. Shame on you. Both sides. Shame on you. And shame on all of you that are asking these way too specific questions. And I'm going to say, and you're going to disagree, but that's okay. You guys watch too much news. And I see it on both sides. You watch Fox News or you watch CNN, and it's completely two total polar opposite views of something. And I don't know how this happened, and maybe it always was this way, and maybe due to social media that we engage in arguments more easily than we used to. But because I remember when I was a kid, All in the Family, the show was on, and it's a funny show, and it starred Archie Bunker, who was a old white dude from somewhere, Queens, I think, New York, who had very conservative views and certainly old-fashioned, one could easily call them racist views. And they challenged his views and he was lovable but had his opinions either way. But either way, that time, I believe we didn't talk about politics. And here I am talking about politics, so maybe I'm part of the problem. But I'm just shocked at the discourse and the total difference of opinions in this country these days. And maybe we've always had differences of opinions and different beliefs and different aspirations and different economic goals. And maybe there always was people wanting to shut down corporations for not paying a living wage. And maybe there was always guitarists on the street playing songs and with end capitalism now signs. And maybe my eyes weren't open. But I promise you, watching the news, whatever side of the aisle you're on, I don't know. It's causing a lot of division. And I hope at some point we can sit down and, find some common ground. Yeah, but they sure are. Find some common ground. But everything is so black and white that Trump is evil and Democrats are horrible, and I don't know. that capitalism is bad. And maybe I'm guilty of it too. Maybe I'm guilty of it too. You know. And maybe what we're talking about is so personal to so many that it's just meant to be, we're meant to disagree. But I think it's unfortunate. And when I was reading these comments on my video this morning, I don't think my video was even controversial. I thought everyone would have seen it that way, but they didn't. They totally disagreed, and I just didn't know you could. I would think it would be like disagreeing that the sky is blue. But one thing I've learned by doing Coffee with Ken is people see things differently. And we don't all have even close to the same perspectives. And it kind of bums me out, and it kind of answers, like, I've had questions like, why didn't this relationship work out? And for me, I know the answer was, well, they see things totally differently than I do. And it's not just a relationship, but it's nationwide and countrywide that people see things totally different and want different things and don't dream of the same things. And I thought we all agreed that the American dream was great and that communism was bad and small government was better and capitalism was efficient. But I'm just learning that's not the way things are looked at. And honestly, I'm a little surprised. I'm a little surprised. Yeah, I'm a little surprised. So that might be all I have for you on this Saturday morning. But I just gotten off my show that I do every morning, and I post TikToks and what have you, and I have a lot of fun doing it. And who was the first president I voted for? I should know that. I don't know if I voted. No, it couldn't have been Reagan because I was only 16. I would have voted for Reagan, but I was only 16. I don't think I voted for Bill Clinton, but I don't think I voted for Bob Dole. I believe they ran against each other. I don't think I was super impressed. I might have tried to be third party or something. Was Ross Perot in that? I might have voted for Ross Perot. Seems kind of funny now. But it was an effort at a third party. And, yeah. So, Bush Sr. Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know that I voted for Bush Sr. But that would have been the right age. I never thought he was as cool. He wasn't as cool as... I mean, he was probably cool. He was probably a good family man. But he was also head of the CIA. I don't know how you can possibly really trust somebody that was ever head of the CIA. Yeah. But anyway, I want to thank you so much for joining. Ryan wants to know how the new job is going. That's not the topic of this show. That is not the topic of this show. I just been training for a couple days. So I appreciate the question, Ryan, but trying to stay focused like a laser. But if you're new to my page or you're finding me on a different channel, please subscribe to my page. I'm just a regular guy talking about regular things and life experiences from one man's point of view. And I'm not saying I'm always right, but I think I usually am. Cheers to me. But anyway, I want to thank you so much for joining today. I so appreciate you. The silent hammer is back. RJ's encouraging me to keep talking. RJ is encouraging me to keep talking. I mean, I have more coffee. I've already done an hour-long live on a different social media platform. I feel I'm somewhat neglecting this audience here on TikTok by not talking further. But I've already immersed it as political thoughts. And I mean, that's kind of funny. If you don't read the comments or you don't get bummed out or you don't worry too much or fret too much, it's fun. And that's what I kind of like about doing this show, because I have the capability of ignoring what you guys say. And I mean it in the most loving way. Because I've always had an active mind, and I always wanted to express myself, and I had these thoughts and had these opinions, but I never liked arguing. I don't like arguing. I don't like debating. But that doesn't mean I might not want to express my thoughts. But if you go out in the real world and express your thoughts and say things, people are going to have totally different opinions and different thoughts. And what's nice about doing this show is I can just say what I want and kind of not worry about, not have to engage with any particular viewer that sees things differently. Because I just don't like the feeling of engaging and getting all agitated, especially it's somebody I don't even know or somebody I do know. It doesn't matter. I don't like being agitated, and I find arguments, even debates, I don't know, agitating or frustrating. A-Bing wants me to ignore us, except for her. Well, I'm going to go get a little more coffee then. Hang with it. I don't know how long I'm going to talk. I do know I've been up since 4:30. I do know I'm surprised the world doesn't see things all the same. Sometimes in life you got to stand up for what's right, Mr. Seinfeld. Well, first of all, what does stand up for what's right mean? Who's the determinant of what's right and what's wrong? What I'm seeing is our opinions are so not black and, or are so black and white. Yeah, what is right? By who's, and at what point do we stand up and do we stop pleasant verbal debate and use our fists and then use guns and then, things like that? At what point is it a problem? What is right 40 years ago is not right today at all times, huh? Well, yeah. But see, that's my worry, Max. If we believe in different things, and what I'm learning is we do believe in different things, and we're willing to fight for what we believe in, how are we going to peacefully coexist as society? And I don't know the answer to that, but I'm just looking at that, feeling that question, and worrying a little bit. Yeah. But anyway, I want to thank you guys so much for joining. I do appreciate you. I just, I don't think I'm going to make an announcement at the Democratic RJ just said, my 60,000 followers want to know who I'm going to endorse. Will I make my announcement at the Democratic National Convention? I would lose half my followers if I made an announcement. I might pick up twice as many on the other side, but I'd like to have a nice, friendly balance of society watching my stuff. I don't want a bunch of anything watching my stuff, but I don't want to argue all the time or be called mean things or have people say mean things. So, oh, wow. Hello, Chris Jackson. Where have you been? Where have you been, Chris Jackson? I've missed you, Chris Jackson. Every time Chris Jackson hops on, I think of the basketball player. I think played for LSU in the late 80s or early 90s and changed his name. And I think he had Tourette's syndrome. And he ended up playing for Denver. And so Chris Jackson, whenever you hop on, I think his name was like Mahmoud Abdul Rauf or something. He changed his name to. But I think he, his name was Chris Jackson, and he was a point guard for LSU. Been in your life. Well, I appreciate you coming back. The Silent Hammer loves it. Yeah. We've got a silent hammer that you got to be careful of. If she could, she'd mute me half the time. But she'd do it silently. But anyway, I'm going to drink a little more coffee. And again, it's 7:15. Well, you got to have some tolerance. I mean, you do you, Silent Hammer. You do you. And if you're the Silent Hammer, I think some of those comments are kind of almost funny. Like that person's that you just muted. But anyway. Hey, Max, thank you so much for following the Live Creator. I appreciate that. If anyone's new, doesn't follow me, please follow my page. Subscribe to my page, whatever platform you're watching on it. Because it's fun having it grow, and it's fun having my page grow, and it's fun having an audience, and it's fun having a platform with which to talk. Yeah, so I'm going to drink a little more coffee. I am going to sign off here because I just wanted to hop on and share a couple political thoughts on this Saturday morning. See how you all are doing on TikTok. And, I don't know. I hope you're feeling good. I hope you had a wonderful, wonderful week. I hope you had a great night's sleep. I hope you're excited about your day. You're smiling. You're grateful for the little things. You have love in your heart. You have love for yourself. And again, that you're feeling good. That you're loving yourself. That you're forgiving yourself. And as always, I hope to talk to you soon. Bye-bye.